Ma'am, I'm going to need you to leave. The restaurant manager crossed his arms, blocking the entrance. His voice carried across the lobby, turning heads. Emma sat frozen in her wheelchair, her daughter Claire clutching the handles behind her. "We have a reservation," Claire said, her voice shaking. "Table for two, under Bennett." The manager didn't even check his tablet. "I'm sorry, but we can't accommodate wheelchairs tonight. Fire code." Emma felt the familiar burn of humiliation creep up her neck. Around them, well-dressed couples pretended not to stare. This was supposed to be special. Claire's 16th birthday, the fancy restaurant she'd begged to try. That's illegal," Claire stammered. "You can't just—" "I can refuse service to anyone." The manager's smile didn't reach his eyes. "The aisles are too narrow. It's a safety issue." Emma saw 3 empty tables through the doorway, wide spaces between them, nothing narrow about it. "Please," Emma said quietly, "we've been planning this for months. There's a diner 2 blocks down, very accessible." He was already turning away, dismissing them. Claire's grip on the wheelchair tightened. Emma could feel her daughter's anger, her embarrassment. This was worse than being denied in front of everyone, on her birthday. Emma reached back to squeeze Claire's hand. "It's okay, sweetie, we'll go somewhere else." "No," a new voice cut through the murmurs. "That's not okay." A man stood up from a nearby bench. He was younger than Emma, maybe early 30s, with a little boy perched on his hip. The kid couldn't have been more than 4, wearing a tiny suit jacket that matched his dad's. The man walked straight to the manager. "I heard what you just said. That's discrimination." The manager's jaw tightened. "Sir, this doesn't concern you. It concerns everyone here." The man's voice stayed level, but there was steel underneath. "You just violated the Americans with Disabilities Act in front of about 30 witnesses." "I explained. You lied about fire code." The man gestured to the dining room. "I can see from here there's plenty of space. You just don't want to move a table." The manager's face flushed. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to sit down or leave." "I'll leave." The man shifted his son to his other hip. "Right after I call the city's disability rights office and post the video my friend is currently recording to every review site that exists." Emma glanced over. A woman at a corner table was indeed holding up her phone, camera pointed at them. The manager's eyes darted between the man, the phone, and Emma, calculating. "Marcus," the little boy whispered, tugging his dad's collar, "are we still eating?" "Not here, buddy." Marcus kept his eyes on the manager. "We don't eat at places that treat people like garbage." Other diners were openly watching now. An older woman near the window stood up, reaching for her purse. "I won't be staying either." She walked out, her husband scrambling to follow. The manager's face went from red to pale. "Now wait just a minute." "No, you wait." A different voice this time, a businessman in a corner booth. "I've hosted 3 corporate dinners here, not anymore." He dropped cash on his table and left. The murmurs grew louder. More people stood. The manager threw up his hands. "Fine, fine. We can seat you." He glared at Emma like this was her fault. "But you'll need to wait while we rearrange." "No," Marcus said. Everyone went quiet. "You don't get to throw her out and then pretend to be gracious when you got caught." Marcus pulled out his phone. "You need to apologize, sincerely, and you need to tell her and her daughter that they are valued customers who you're honored to serve." The manager's mouth opened and closed, the silence stretched, painful and taut. Finally, he turned to Emma. The words came out strangled. "I apologize. We'd be honored to serve you." It was the worst apology Emma had ever heard, but something broke loose in her chest anyway. "That's not good enough," Claire said suddenly. Her voice was stronger now. "You humiliated my mom in front of everyone on my birthday." The little boy on Marcus's hip turned to look at Claire. "It's your birthday." Claire nodded, tears in her eyes. The boy looked at his dad. "We should share our cake." Marcus's expression softened. He looked at Claire, then at Emma. "We're actually here for a birthday too, my son Jake's 4th. We pre-ordered a cake and everything." "That's very sweet, but," Emma started. "Join us," Marcus said. It wasn't a question, but it wasn't a demand either, just an offer, simple and genuine. "We couldn't, please." Jake's eyes were huge. "I never had a big sister at my birthday before." Claire let out a surprised laugh through her tears. Emma looked at her daughter, saw something shift in her face. "Mom, I don't even know you," Emma said to Marcus. "I'm Marcus, this is Jake, now you know us." he smiled, and it reached his eyes. Look, you two deserve a good birthday dinner. We've got a table already. And honestly, he lowered his voice, Jake's been nervous all day about being the center of attention. He'd probably love to share the spotlight. The manager looked like he wanted to protest, but the remaining diners were still watching. The woman with the phone camera was still recording. Okay, Emma heard herself say. Okay, thank you. Marcus led them to his table. It was by the window with a view of the city lights. He moved chairs without being asked, making space for Emma's wheelchair at the head of the table. Perfect, he said. Dinner started awkwardly. Jake colored on his kids' menu, offering Claire crayons. She took them, smiling despite herself. Marcus asked Emma about her work. She was a freelance graphic designer and actually listened to the answer. Claire helps me with the modern designs, Emma said. She's got a better eye for what's current. I want to study design in college, Claire added, then paused. If I'm good enough. Are you kidding? Emma said. You redesigned my entire portfolio last month. My client bookings doubled. Marcus ordered champagne. Just a sip for the birthday girl, don't tell anyone, and they toasted to birthdays and standing up to bullies and unexpected kindness. As the main courses arrived, Emma found herself relaxing. Marcus was easy to talk to. He was a third-grade teacher, widowed 3 years ago, raising Jake alone. It was Emma's turn to listen. Some days are harder than others, he admitted, cutting Jake's chicken into smaller pieces. But we figure it out. Right, buddy? Jake nodded seriously, his mouth full. Claire leaned over to help Jake with a puzzle on his menu. Emma watched her daughter, who'd been sullen and angry all morning about turning 16, about being different, about having a mom in a wheelchair, smile at this little boy like he was the most important person in the world. The cake arrived during dessert, chocolate, with candles for both birthdays. The entire restaurant sang. Emma couldn't remember the last time strangers had sung to her daughter. Claire and Jake blew out the candles together. Jake needed 3 tries. Claire pretended she couldn't do it without his help. As they ate cake, the manager approached. He'd been avoiding their table all night. I wanted to apologize, he said, speaking directly to Emma this time. Genuinely apologize. What I did was wrong, inexcusable. He placed a piece of paper on the table. Your meals tonight are complimentary, both tables, and I'd like to offer you a standing reservation anytime you want it for the next year. Emma studied him. He looked tired, ashamed. Why did you do it? She asked. Really? He flinched. My boss has been, he's complained about accommodations. Extra work, I thought, he trailed off. There's no good reason, I was wrong, I'm sorry. Emma glanced at Marcus, who stayed quiet. This was her choice. I appreciate the apology, she said finally, and I'll take the standing reservation, but I'm also filing a report with the Disability Rights Office, because maybe next time someone won't have witnesses. Someone won't have people willing to stand up for them. The manager nodded slowly. That's fair, that's more than fair. After he left, Marcus raised his glass. You're pretty amazing, you know that? Emma felt her cheeks warm. You're the one who spoke up. You're the one who handled that with grace I don't think I could have managed. Claire watched them, a knowing smile on her face. As the evening wound down, Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years, not just gratitude but possibility. This night could have ended with her and Claire crying in a diner. Instead, they'd made friends, maybe more than friends. Marcus walked them to their car. Jake was asleep on his shoulder. Thank you, Emma said, for everything. Thank you for letting us crash your celebration. Marcus hesitated. Look, I know this might be forward, but could I get your number? Jake hasn't stopped talking about Claire all night. Maybe we could set up a playdate or something. Claire grinned. I could babysit sometime if you need. Seriously? Marcus's face lit up. That would be incredible. Emma gave him her number. Their hands touched briefly. The night air was cool, but she felt warm. Emma, Marcus said as she transferred to her car, for what it's worth, that guy was an idiot, not just morally. He almost missed out on meeting the most interesting person in that restaurant tonight. Emma drove home with Claire chattering about Jake and Marcus and how this had turned into the best birthday ever. 3 months later, Emma sat in her living room, watching Marcus help Claire with her college portfolio while Jake built a blanket fort. The standing reservation at the restaurant had turned into a weekly tradition. Sometimes they went as a group. Sometimes just Emma and Marcus, while Claire babysat. The night she'd been denied entry had felt like the worst moment. Like proof that the world saw her wheelchair before it saw her, but Marcus had seen her, really seen her, and he'd spoken up when he could have stayed silent, when most people did stay silent. "Mom," Claire called, "Marcus wants to know if you like the mountains or the beach better." Emma looked at Marcus. He was watching her with that same steady gaze from the restaurant. Like she was worth defending, worth knowing. "Mountains," she said, "always mountains." "Good answer," Marcus smiled. "Because Jake and I were thinking about a camping trip next month. We'd need an expert navigator, someone good with maps and directions. And Claire has to come too," Jake added from inside his fort, "to tell ghost stories." Emma's chest tightened with something that felt like joy. Like belonging. The door that had been slammed in her face had led to this. To family dinners and camping plans and a man who saw her wheelchair as just another part of who she was, not the whole story. "We're in," Emma said. Claire squeezed her shoulder. Marcus grinned. Jake cheered from the fort, and Emma thought about all the times she'd been denied. Denied entry, denied service, denied dignity. How she'd learned to make herself smaller, quieter, less inconvenient. But that night at the restaurant, someone had said no. Not on behalf of themselves, but on behalf of her, and it had changed everything. Not because she needed a hero, she'd been fighting her own battles for years. But because sometimes, the loneliest part of fighting wasn't the battle itself. It was feeling like no one else cared enough to stand beside you. Marcus had cared. A stranger who became a friend who became something more, and all it had taken was speaking up when silence was easier. The world needed more people willing to make that choice. Emma was building a life with one of them.